We are back from Indianapolis, a long, not super long hiatus. Zach's got the merch to show it. We had a great time at All Star Weekend, and we're going to get into it a little bit here today in our newest episode of Pass the Rock.
Could one of y'all pass the gosh darn rock? Hey, yo, I'm trying, I ain't lying, and hosting this will be Brian.
Yeah.
Posting like Kobe Bryant,
Yeah.
flying to see the pilot.
Yeah.
Hit the hezzy, we got Jesse, opinions get kinda messy. A fan of out of lefties, from football to racing jackies. He go silly when he go deep, sheesh, is Zach Zeman. Teaming up with Jack, we stack the whole team, man. Pass the rock, don't stop the shot clock.
Woo.
Smack the slap shot, come on, now let's talk. Pass the, yo, partner, pass the rock. For real.
Zach, how did you find this weekend over in the freezing cold tundra of Indianapolis?
Man. I mean, it was a good time. The events were really nice. I like that the dunk contest and 3-point contest were in Lucas Oil Stadium. That was different than what we're used to with the with NBA All-Star Weekend. But man, it was cold in Indianapolis. Just really tough, especially Friday night. It was the middle of a snowstorm, so it was really hard for everyone to get around. So I don't know if the NBA is going back to Indianapolis anytime soon for a big event like that.
Well, the NFL will be there with the combine in just in a couple of months, so that'll be fun for them. Jack, how are you doing in the not so snowy side of the world?
Yeah, definitely not so snowy over here on the other side of the globe, but I'm doing great. Ready to talk some hoops. I've been a little disconnected this far away. It feels so distant, but it's good to be with you guys. Got to chat some hoops today.
All right, so we were just at the NBA All-Star Weekend, and we're going to dive into it, really. So, first off, the East won 211 to 186 in the All-Star game, almost 400 points in the All-Star game, 168 three-pointers attempted. How do you fix the All-Star game? Zach, what do you think?
So before we really get into how to fix it, let's also just note there were 5 players in this game who scored 30 or more points, which is absolutely absurd for any NBA game. This is not the highest amount of points that have ever been scored in a recorded basketball game. That still goes to DeVry University at Troy State. Shout out to Secret Base. They scored recorded 258 points, but unofficially recorded by Secret Base at 253 points. Sorry, that's a little bit of like a niche nerd thing, but love that video, love Secret Base. Anyways, there were reports on Twitter that NBA players have been discussing that they want to get paid for playing in the NBA All-Star game. Now, while it is absolutely ridiculous that we would have to pay players to play in a game that is meant to be an honor, celebrating their achievement, to me, it feels like the only way you're actually going to get them to try in this game, maybe match their by-game salary. I don't know. But if that's the only thing that will get them to play with any shade of effort, that's what they might have to do. And I think it is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I understand maybe having an incentive for being an all-star would be kind of nice, maybe push some players towards trying to achieve that goal. But I mean, I don't know. I can't think of many ways to truly fix the all-star game besides pretty much giving the players what they want.
I think you said it like it's so ridiculous that we'd even have to consider paying the best of the best who are like the only reason you're an all-star is if you're in the top 20 players in the league, which already means you're going to be earning probably 30, 40 million a season. You don't need more money to play in a game that you, like you said, is an honor to be in. So I think that it's just ridiculous. And the whole point of like, oh, they're afraid of getting hurt. If you're going to get hurt, you're going to get hurt. Like it's going to happen in the All-Star games in the middle of the season. What's the difference if a guy gets hurt now or like Julius Randle dislocating his shoulder 3 weeks ago, or if it happened the first game back from the All-Star break and someone gets hurt? Like if you're supposed to be the best players in the league, playing a somewhat lightly competitive exhibition game should not be the end of your career. So I think it's ridiculous. I think the NBA actually has a solution in their lap, and it's what they did with the Rising Stars game. I thought that the Rising Stars game was a lot of fun, splitting it into 4 teams of 7 or 8 players, a target score of 40, and then 25, a lot lower scoring, and just you don't have to score 200 points they actually played defense. Like we watched it firsthand. We saw it. They were checking up and guarding up when it was game point, and even before that. And it wasn't the most competitive game, and there was a lot of lackadaisical basketball as well. But I'd say it was a much better product than the actual All-Star game itself. So the NBA has a solution at their disposal. They just need to implement it.
Yeah,
I 100% agree with you. That was the idea that I was going to put forward. And I think another reason why the whole paying them idea wouldn't work was because I think that idea was inspired by the in-season tournament and the way that they put money on the line for that and players competed harder for it. But if you heard what like the top guys in the league were saying about that, like when they asked LeBron about why he was playing harder in the in-season tournament, like what the incentive does for him. He's like, he's doing it for the guys at the bottom of the roster that are making less than $1 million a year, and $500K is life-changing money to those guys. So that is
life-changing.
It is. It's very helpful for those bubble roster guys. But for the best of the best, $500K is like they're wiping their asses with $500K. So
Tyrese Halliburton spent that on drinks on Friday.
Literally. So I don't think that would have worked for the All-Star game, but I do think that the Rising Stars format is a great way of doing it. And I think it would be a lot of fun too. I like the way they bring in the legends as team captains. I think that's cool. I think showing that draft live would be really awesome in the way they used to show it live with, the two captains. But if you have 4 legend captains drafting NBA players, that's like what we do when we're doing a draft on this show, but it's like with NBA legends. So it's really
exactly.
So I think that is an awesome idea. And I don't know if it'll get the players to play harder, but at a bare minimum, it'll add some spice. It'll make it fun. You get to knock out a team. You advance to the championship. Like, I think that whole concept is a lot of fun, and they should consider doing that.
Yeah. I'm going to say one more thing before we wrap up, though. For years, we've been asking the NBA, please go back to the East-West format. Please go back to the East-West format. It's the old school format. It's the format that everyone likes. The East being a group of very talented stars and the West being the greatest team you've ever seen on paper. That's just what the All-Star game is meant to be. And we're suggesting get another change to make it unlike what it originally was. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think it's, we've been asking for East versus West and we finally got it back. And yes, it has its flaws, but I do like the East-West format. I want to suggest one more thing to maybe help it a little bit. Implement the Elam ending. I don't know if they implemented it this year, but the Elam ending is a really cool concept that puts a target score at the end of the third quarter and make sure that those players have to play to a certain specific score. Once that score is crossed, the game is over. And that can lead to more competitive basketball down the stretch of the game. Now, would it fix the first 3 quarters? Absolutely not. But would it fix the fourth? That, when people want to see the end of the game, maybe make it a little bit more competitive at the end? I think it would. I think the NBA should definitely implement the Elam ending into the NBA All-Star game.
I think that the East versus West thing, though, I obviously think that East versus West should be a thing for the selection of how players get into the All-Star game. But I honestly think that the NBA was cooking when they were doing the drafts especially last year, the live draft where they picked the players in person on the stage, I thought was great. I think the whole LeBron versus Giannis thing got washed out, or LeBron versus Durant. I love the idea of these legendary captains that aren't just LeBron, Giannis, Durant, whoever's doing it every single year. Get Hakeem and Reggie Miller and all these guys who are always at All-Star Weekend, Dr. J and Detlef Schrempf, I don't know, and get them all.
Even let Stephen A. Smith do it. I don't care.
Or Doc Rivers, he's not going to have a job next year. So either way, I think they should definitely mix it up. I could even see it if they did a 3v3 tournament and whoever wins that wins. I think the standard 5v5 game that's just a full length game is not the way to go. I think they just don't look like they want to be out there for that long. And honestly, the target score, the Elam ending is great, but also you could just get rid of the whole first 3 quarters and just start the game with a target score of 40 or 50. And then it's just first to that and, have a little tournament. So there's lots of ways that we could change it and we could fix the All-Star game. But let's look at the dunk contest now. So is there something wrong with the dunk contest, or is it just a down year and our expectations just too high after all of the creativity we've seen over the years? Jack.
Look, here's the thing with the dunk contest, right? We've been or the NBA has been doing the dunk contest for 50 years at this point, right? Like 53 years. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's been a long time that they've been doing the dunk contest. We've seen just about everything that there is to see as far as like what the average NBA player can do as far as dunking the basketball, in my opinion. Like we saw in this dunk contest, was it who did the Dominique Wilkins dunk? Why is that?
Jaylen Brown and TNT failed
Brown?
to show it because they messed up their broadcast.
Right, but like, okay, so Jaylen Brown brings out a Dominique Wilkins look-alike, right, and does the dunk that Dominique did 40 years ago. But the thing is, like, 40 years ago when Dominique did that, we'd never seen that before. That was really cool. At this point, all you can do is either redo a dunk that someone else has already done and try to, like play the whole story card. Or the dunks, when was the last time that we saw a dunk contest dunk that was truly innovative? Something we've never seen. I would argue when the Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine dunk contest, when Aaron Gordon jumped over the mascot on the hoverboard, like a lot of this stuff is just reruns. So to me, I don't know how you fix it. Like I feel like, and maybe someone else comes along who's super innovative and has some new crazy dunk idea, and that takes the world by storm and fixes the dunk contest. But what you need is fresh ideas. You can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again because we've seen it.
I honestly think that Mac McClung has been the savior of the dunk contest the last 2 years, and he's shown that, like, while he did do some similar style dunks, a lot of, windmills and reverses, but I think he did a few dunks that we haven't seen people attempt, at least in a while, or really on that scale. And I think that last year he was innovative. This year, he didn't have to be as innovative. He didn't have to go very deep in his bag. He just knew that if he could land the dunks that he did, that he'd get better than the 48 that he needed to get to win. But I honestly think that the way to go is stop with the whole superstars need to be in the dunk contest thing. Anybody that complains about it, like, that's what you get when you put Jaylen Brown in the dunk contest. He is a good dunker. He's not great. He's just going to do a normal dunk. And like when you look back at the Dominique versus Michael Jordan dunk contest, that looks like a 9th grade layup line now. Like it's seriously not, it's nothing special when you look at it back through then. But now, like, we've seen good dunks. The Derrick Jones versus Aaron Gordon dunk contest in 2020 was an amazing dunk contest. Like that one went like 8 rounds of 50, 50, 50, 50. And it was just great. But I think what they need to do is just get the best dunkers, which, I mean, they try to do, and just get the guys who are the most innovative. They don't even need to be in the NBA. Like if you seriously want to make it crazy, get Jordan Kilgannon, get Isaiah Rivera, and get all those guys. If you actually want to see some dunks that have never been done before and put on a show, I know it's about the celebs, but also there could be something special about having all the celebrity all-star players right around the court watching these guys do dunks that we've never seen possible before.
Yeah, so that was something that I actually heard Kenny Beecham talk about on his podcast this week. He was saying how the NBA should have these professional dunkers that actually are super innovative and are really insane, and then you could like pair them with an all-star to still have the NBA star power involved, right? So imagine you pair LeBron with the professional dunker, and LeBron is like coaching him up or whatever. I don't know. That way you still have the stars involved, so that makes the fans happy. But you're actually seeing really cool dunks from really talented people. I think that's a pretty cool idea.
That's honestly kind of what I was about to say. We haven't seen anything in terms of the creative possibilities of what a dunk can be. What the dunk contest needs, I like the idea of having professional dunkers and street ball dunkers who you go on Twitter, you go on YouTube, you find some of these insane dunks that dudes who do not play basketball for a living are able to pull off. I mean, there's so much potential still within the dunk contest. You don't need the star power as long as you have maybe like the coaching from these professional dunkers. But at the same time, I feel like people are a bit like I feel like people aren't as impressed as they used to be because everyone thinks, 2016 was the peak dunk contest. It's hard to top that. I mean, a dunk to me that went super under the radar with this dunk contest was Jacob Toppin pulling off through the legs 360. A through
reverse,
the
like the
360.
wrong way too.
He pulled off a through the legs 360 dunk. And of course, like in the moment, I'm like, whoa, that looked cool, but I wasn't like blown away. In hindsight, it's like, oh my God, how did that not get a 50?
I think it
That
got a
was an
47
insane
too.
dunk.
It was like the lowest
Because-
score of
you
the
know
night.
what? It's because we've seen it before. Like, yes, it's insanely impressive, but we've seen it before. That's why
That doesn't
it doesn't have the
discount-
same shock value that it does.
That doesn't discount how ridiculous of a dunk that is.
I-
Look,
I'm not
everyone's like, oh, I've seen this before. Where have you seen this dunk? Where have you seen that dunk, Jack? Where have
It's
you seen
been
that?
it's been done in
Who?
dunk contests before. I don't remember specifically.
No,
Probably
you
every
don't,
single
because
one.
it probably
Yeah,
hasn't
like,
been done the way that Jacob Toppin
no,
did
it
it.
has.
It has.
I-
It has.
I-
It has.
I
It
don't
was a
have-
nice dunk, but it's not that special. Like it
Right,
is nice, but like Paul George did that for you, like way back.
Yeah, like I don't have a dunk contest catalog in my head, but like I'm
Look,
sure if
all-
you looked it up,
all I'm
360
saying,
through the legs,
all I'm
like,
saying
you can
is that
find it.
all I'm trying to say is that dunk contest discourse is so everyone's so like deflated, being like, oh, we've seen that before. Oh, he could have done this better. It's like, yes, this dunk contest may have been underwhelming, but there were still some gems in this dunk contest. I don't think it was necessarily bad. I think we as fans need to appreciate what they're doing more, as well as the fact, I mean, we need to appreciate more and the dunks need to get better. Both of those can be true at the same time.
I don't know. I just think that like everyone complains too much, and it's the same thing with the NFL playoffs when everyone was like, "Oh, why do we have to have this Super Bowl?" And then it was like an amazing game, and it's like I think people are going to complain no matter what. And when you actually look at the dunk contests, if you think it's going to suck, it's going to suck. If you just try to have a good time and enjoy the dunks, it's a pretty good show. Like people say that it's been bad ever since 2016. If you actually watch the dunk contest, it's so wrong. Go watch the 2020 dunk contest, and I promise you, your opinion will change. Even last year when Obi Toppin won, or 2 years ago when Obi Toppin won, Obi Toppin did a behind the back over somebody's head. He did like a through the legs off the glass. Like he's doing crazy dunks as well. People just love to play.
These past 2 years, Mac McClung by himself is single-handedly trying to revive the dunk contest.
Mac and Trey Murphy were putting on a great show last year.
Oh my God.
Like,
Yeah. Last year was fantastic. And this year, I mean, another underlooked dunk was McClung like letting go and picking up the ball in midair.
Yeah.
That is insane. That's another dunk that should have been a 50, but wasn't a 50 because everyone's expectations are so like, oh, it needs to be something that's never been done ever. Someone had to have, caught the ball in midair. It's like, yeah, it's probably been done, but probably not the way that Mac McClung did it. I mean, yeah. I feel like in general we are underappreciating these dunks because everyone's being so pessimistic looking at them.
Here's the thing. I think it's about the showmanship. I think in the past we've seen a lot of the more memorable dunks have been because someone did something insane. Whether it's Aaron Gordon with the mask on the hoverboard, or Blake Griffin jumping over a car, or Dwight Howard Superman dunk, or the Nate Robinson Kryptonite dunk. Like we remember these dunks because there was some crazy showmanship aspect to it. A lot of the dunks that we've been seeing recently are like cool feats of athleticism, which I'm not saying are not impressive, because they are, but it doesn't have the same shock value and it doesn't have the same memorable value. I don't know why that word came out weird.
I mean, hey, look, if we're talking about feats of athleticism, then that was pretty much all of Zach LaVine's prime dunk contest years. His biggest thing was his athleticism, and that's why like multiple dunks of his were jumping from the free throw line and then doing like a windmill, or like I think he had one that was like between legs. Yeah. That was insane.
But because that was something we hadn't seen since Jordan.
No, nobody. I don't think had ever done it through the legs from the free throw line.
Well, yeah, no, not through the legs.
No. I'm not talking about the between the legs. That was like insane.
That was insane.
But most of that was just his athleticism, being just put on full display. Look, they're like, yes, the between the legs, absolutely flashy, but just jumping from the free throw line, insane athleticism. But that's all there really was to it. And yes, I am of the belief that Aaron Gordon got robbed and everything. But like showmanship isn't everything. in a dunk contest. Sometimes
it's
athleticism does shine.
No, that's true. It's not everything, but I feel like in the last few years we haven't seen as much of it as we used to. And I think a lot of the nostalgia of dunk contests for people, especially people our age, is those big show dunks, like the jumping over the car, the Superman, all that kind of stuff. We don't really see a lot of that anymore.
Okay,
But the last thing I will say about this, then we should move on.
Dunking over the car was not a good dunk. It was not that good.
Hot take: DeMar DeRozan should have won that dunk contest. Anyway, the thing about the dunk contest, the last thing we'll say, and then we'll move on, is you don't need superstars to have a good one. When Zach LaVine won, he was nothing but a star. That made him a star. Same with Aaron Gordon. I would not have known Aaron Gordon's name if not for that dunk contest. And maybe I'm just a casual for that, but like I'm sure that a lot of people know who Aaron Gordon is now because of that memory. So anyway, we're going to move on. Jack, you've got a fun game for us. Let's let her rip.
I do. So this is inspired by Victor Wembanyama's triple-double with blocks from last week, which is, by the way, unbelievable that he was able to do that. But can you guys name the actually, let me count how many players it is before I do that. 8 players. Okay. Can you name the 8 players in NBA history that have recorded a triple-double with blocks more than once?
All right. Definitely Hakeem.
Hakeem has done it 10 times.
Jesus Christ. 10 times!
I thought you were going to say like 4.
Jesus. Okay.
Shaq?
Shaq has not.
The Admiral,
Really?
David Robinson.
Yeah, definitely.
David Robinson has done it 9 times.
All right.
That's
Manute
also
Bol.
insane. Jesus.
Manute Bol, I believe, only did it once, so he's not on
Are
the
you
list.
serious? He never got rebounds, blocks, and points that off? Dang.
If we're talking about really
Nope.
really big centers, Sean Bradley.
Sean Bradley did it 6 times.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, there's no list that
double. That's insane.
there's no list that doesn't have Wilt Chamberlain on it. So put Wilt up there.
Actually, Wilt is not on it.
I feel like
Okay, maybe it's just before the stat keeping era.
it
or
was
something.
definitely
That's possible.
no.
That
It
is
was
possible.
100%.
He 100% did it multiple times.
Oh, yeah. I would.
100%.
Will would probably be number 1. Yeah, they didn't record stats when Wilt did.
All right.
No, 100% because they didn't record blocks until like the 70s. I know that
Yeah.
they didn't record
Okay.
blocks then.
You're
so
right.
Wilt's not on here. Karl Malone, did he get it?
No, he did not.
What about Ralph Sampson?
Ralph Sampson, I believe, only did it once.
No.
How about Moses Malone?
That's a good
Moses
shout.
Malone is not on the list.
How about Yao Ming?
No Yao Ming.
Robert Parrish.
No Robert Parrish.
Oof.
No.
Bill Russell?
No Bill Russell.
Two-
No.
Really?
Before his time. They
True,
weren't
I guess.
counting
True.
blocks.
No blocks, no blocks. When did
You
they
guys-
start counting blocks?
You guys, you have to really focus on the blocks, guys. It's
Jesse,
like
Hassan Whiteside.
Hassan Whiteside did it not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. Hassan Whiteside did it.
Yeah, Jesse, keep in mind, I think blocks they began being tracked around like the 73, 74
Mid 70s?
season.
Okay.
Like early mid 70s when they got when they were started to be tracked.
Mid 70s MVP, Bill Walton?
No Bill Walton. Nope.
Kareem?
No Kareem.
No, Kareem wasn't a shot blocker. I mean, he was
What
great.
do you mean Kareem wasn't a shot blocker? He was
Not-
7
not compared to the guys that we're talking about today.
So I figured.
By the way, there's one more guy on this list that did it 10 times.
Dikembe Mutombo.
That's it.
No.
No.
Nice.
No.
All right, how many do we have so far?
You've got 5 of the 8. You're
Are there
missing
any
3.
current players?
No, all 3 of these guys are retired.
Oh, I was gonna say Anthony Davis, but I guess not.
That would be a good guess.
No,
but-
actually, he only has like a few triple doubles in his career, and they're pretty recent.
Ooh, how about
AD did it once. He's on the list as a guy
Okay.
who did it once.
how about DeMarcus Cousins?
No Boogie. Nope.
How about Dwight?
Nope. All 3 of these guys are a little older than that.
Okay, KG.
Like- Huh? No KG. Yeah, think like 2000s and then one guy from like the 90s, I would say.
Okay. Bill
Okay.
Laimbeer.
No Bill Laimbeer. Nope.
Ben Wallace,
Ben Wallace did it twice. Good job.
blocks champion. Come on now.
Yep.
2 more.
Okay, could be a crazy shout, but I'm just thinking of like Ron Artest.
No, Ron
Like
Artest.
defensive player of the year.
No.
Marcus All?
No Marcus Gasol.
No.
No.
Tyson Chandler?
No. No.
Not
No,
even
it's
earlier.
earlier than that.
Just
Marcus Camby?
Marcus Camby did it 3 times.
Go.
Well done.
wow.
Is that the last one or is there one more?
No, there's one more. There's one more.
Okay, Zach, come on.
He did it 5 times. He's a little older than the guys that you've mentioned.
Patrick Ewing?
No,
Oh.
George Gervin.
not George Gervin.
George Mikan?
No, not
No,
that.
He's
Not
old.
that.
He's old. He's
Didn't-
old.
Didn't track his blocks.
Rick Smits?
No,
Good guess.
a little more
We
recent.
just
than
talked
that.
a lot about a Rick Smits.
Yeah.
We did. A lot of Pacers. We
Can
already
we get East or West?
West.
West. Okay.
Okay.
Mm,
Jermaine O'Neal?
No,
Did he play in
that's,
the...
that's East.
that's easy.
Well, he played on multiple teams, didn't he?
No, he was. You're right.
Yeah, you really got Pacers on the brain though.
I know it's been on the mind lately. Okay. Who else?
Think big.
Really.
I was about to say Chris. No, it's not Chris Stapps. He's current.
Bryant Reeves.
No.
Good shout, bro.
Yeah. I
What
it
about-
just came up. I was like,
what about like who was DeAndre Jordan?
No,
he's also current.
no, it's a little more.
I think like similar vein as Sean Bradley.
Okay, so late.
Oh,
80s.
George Merjon?
No,
Oh, I thought that was it for sure.
Good Paul.
No.
Good Paul.
that
Oh,
was a good call.
That's
though.
that's an NBA 2K pull right there.
Yeah.
it's good. It's a good poll.
Man. Just trying to think of like teams in the West.
That's
Amari
such a-
Stoudemire?
No, not Amari.
Hmm.
This is a guy that I only really think of for one team.
Okay,
Okay.
helps tiny sliver of a bit.
I'm just trying. I'm trying to throw a little bit out.
No,
there.
I know.
All right.
Vladi Divac.
Not Vladi.
I only think of him as a king, to be honest.
LaMarcus Aldridge? No.
No, older
No,
than
he,
that.
he wasn't a blocks guy. Can we get like a decade? Like early 2000s?
I would think 90s.
90s?
Just 90s period. Okay.
Yeah.
90s in the West.
Didn't we already guess Ralph Sampson?
Actually,
Yeah, I
that
did.
might not be the greatest. He played from 1982 to 1994.
Oh, okay. So 80s
Ooh,
as
okay.
well.
80s.
Yeah, 80s and 90s. 80s
More
and 90s.
80s. More 80s.
Oh, Bob McAdoo?
No,
No.
this guy was a two-time
Artis
Defensive
Gilmore?
Player of the Year. No,
No.
Good guesses. Oh, great guesses. What'd you say? What was you saying?
I said Artis Gilmore.
he was a two-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Rudy. Rudy Gobert. Is it? Oh my God! Is it Dennis Rodman?
No, that's a great guess
Oh,
though. That's a great
really?
guess though.
Is it?
I mean,
Oh
Rob-
wait.
that's 94,
What's
so.
the huge? He's literally huge. What's his name? Huge white guy.
I already guessed Sean Bradley.
I
Mark
think you're getting
Eaton.
it.
Mark Eaton.
There it is,
Oh my
Mark.
God.
5 times.
Let's
Great
go.
poll. Great
Well
poll.
done.
Good
As
stuff.
soon as you start, I saw the gears turning.
I was
Huge
like, I was
white
trying to
guy.
think of, because I was going through the teams. I was like, Jazz. I was like, it wasn't. We already said Karl Malone.
Yeah,
Who was like they're big, and I remember Mark Eaton is a card in 2K as well. Who's
Yep.
just huge.
huge.
That was
white
fun. That
guy.
was good.
Like, you got it.
Oh yeah, you just said think big. And I was like, this guy's big.
I mean,
Big,
how
really
many other ways can I give that hint? He's big.
You got it.
All right.
All right, Zach.
Yes, I have a game as well. All right. Besides LeBron James, which 10 players have the most All-Star selections in NBA history? So LeBron
All right.
James, for context, LeBron James has 20 All-Star selections.
And that's the most, right?
That is the most all time. So besides him, which 10 players have the most? There
Start off with-
are actually 11 players because there's a tie for the lower spot on the list. For the
All
lowest.
right. Let's start off with Dirk Nowitzki.
Dirk Nowitzki with 14 All-Star selections is on the board.
All right. I'll take Kareem because he played for about 45 seasons.
Number 1 on this list with 19 All-Star selections, Kareem
So-
Abdul-Jabbar.
So if Dirk's on there with 14, then Kevin Durant's on there because he also has 14.
Kevin Durant tied with 14 as well.
Is that the bottom?
That is the bottom. 14 is the
Okay.
bottom.
All right, so we have
There
our
are-
threshold now.
There are
Yeah.
5 players with 14. They are tied technically for 7th place.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Steph doesn't have that many.
Steph doesn't even have
No.
Steph,
No.
Michael
Steph-
Jordan?
Yeah, Jordan's a good guess.
Michael Jordan.
What do you have, like 16?
Michael Jordan tied with Durant and Dirk with 14 All-Star selections.
Bum. What a bum.
What a bum.
Could never be like my glorious king. Kobe.
Kobe Bryant,
Yeah.
number 2 with 18 All-Star selections.
KG? He played for a
Kevin
while.
Garnett tied for 4th place with 15 All-Star selections.
Nice.
All right.
How about Shaq?
Shaquille O'Neal also tied for 4th place with 15 All-Star selections.
All right. Think of some other.
Hakeem?
Hakeem Olajuwon is not in the top 10.
Bill Russell?
Bill Russell also not in the top 10. Both of those players only had 12 All-Star selections in their career.
Oh, Tim
Scrubs.
Duncan.
Tim Duncan, the final player tied for 4th place with 15 All-Star selections.
Awesome.
Nice. What about? No, I was gonna say Vince Carter, but he wasn't an All-Star that long. He just
Not
because he
even
played
close.
like 23 years or whatever.
He
No.
he does not have 12. He doesn't even make the honorable mentions.
No.
How many are we missing?
You are missing 1, 2. You're only missing 3 players. So really you have 8 of 10, 8 of 11 really.
right.
So you're pretty
Chris
close.
Paul?
Chris Paul not on the list. He has 12 All-Star selections.
Damn.
How about Scottie Pippen?
Scottie Pippen is not even an honorable mention. He's nowhere close.
How about Paul Pierce?
Not even honorable mention.
Thought he might have been around for a while. Nah, he trailed off.
Enough.
You said Tim Duncan, right?
Yeah, I said
Tim
Timmy.
Duncan.
Larry
Parker?
Bird? Larry Bird?
Larry Bird, not on the list. He has
Yeah, he
12
didn't
as
play
well.
long enough.
He has
Tony
12 as
Parker?
well. Sorry?
Tony Parker?
He is not on the list.
Dang.
Not an honorable mention.
Magic Johnson can't have played enough, right?
No, definitely not.
No.
Magic Johnson with 12 All-Star selections is not on this list.
That's what I
What about? Are there any Wilt?
Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain with 13 All-Star selections
Oh, wow.
is not on this
Oh
list.
my
Only
god, bro! You're
13?
literally like
He
edging, bro.
just misses the cut. He is one of the first, what is that, like 6 players to miss the cut.
Ooh, how about Isaiah Thomas?
Isaiah Thomas with 12 All-Star selections does not make the cut.
What about you said no? Steph hasn't been around long enough.
Patrick Ewing?
Patrick Ewing is not on this list.
What about Jerry West, the logo?
Oh.
Jerry West also tied for 7th place with 14
Okay, I thought you were about to say
Yeah.
also has 12, and I was gonna punch
No,
you.
Jerry West is the last
him through the
player
screen.
I had on this list. You have 2 more, one from the 80s and one from the 90s primarily.
Karl Malone.
Karl Malone also tied for 7th place
Okay.
with
Nice.
14 All-Star selections. Karl Malone. You are
Is it
missing
like-
the number 3 player.
It's not like Bob Cousy or one of those old heads.
Bob Cousy with 13 All-Star selections just misses the cut.
Is it James Harden?
Moses
No.
Malone?
Harden
he hasn't
is
been around
not
long.
on this list.
Never mind. That was stupid. That was
How,
stupid.
how about Moses Malone?
Moses Malone, great pull, but he just misses the cut.
Is
with
it
13 All-Star selections.
is it Jack's lookalike Dolph Shays?
As much as I would love to tell you that Dolph Shays made this list, he had 12 All-Star selections. He misses the cut.
Oh, I really thought it was
Great
gonna be.
pull. Great pull. I was not sure if you were going to pull that.
Is
but I
it
love it.
is it Big O Oscar?
Big O Oscar Robertson with 12 All-Star selections does not make the cut.
Okay, can we
This is
just make this
unbelievable.
trivia name as many
You
All Stars
are
with 12
looking.
All-Star
You are
selections?
looking. A player who was known. This player played primarily in the 1980s in the Eastern Conference. He has 16 All-Star selections.
That's not Larry Bird.
That is not Larry Bird. This
Who
man.
else was-
It's not Elgin Baylor. He was in the West.
No, this is not Elgin Baylor.
Wait,
He is
so
not
it
an
can't
honorable
be it.
mention.
Like, I feel like the 80s.
Is it Dr. J?
Celtics. Oh,
Dr. J. That is who it is. Dr. J with 16 All-Star selections. Number
I
Second
thought he
time
was
this
about to
week.
get all hyped up like that and say, like, yeah, he had 11.
Second time this week I forgot about Dr. J. man.
Dr. J. So the final list, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar leading the pack with 19, Kobe Bryant with 18, Dr. J, Julius Erving with 16. Tied for fourth place, you have Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, and Shaquille O'Neal. And then tied for seventh place, you have Kevin Durant, Michael Jordan, Karl Malone, Dirk Nowitzki, and the logo Jerry West.
Wow,
That was
that I feel like we got 1 to 10 and then like 11 to 26. Like
Let's see. Out of the honorable mentions, I wrote down everyone who had 13 and 12. Let's see. You had 3 of the 5 players with 13. The others were Havlicek and Dwayne Wade. And then of the 12, you
you
had
didn't
was
say
that
Dwayne
one,
Wade. Oh wow, that's
I
bad.
just
say
didn't
Dwayne
think he
Wade.
had that many.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
4,
I thought about Chris
5,
Bosh because I knew Bosh made it.
6,
He made it 11 out of 13
8.
years he was in the NBA.
I
Which is
think you
wild.
only missed you missed 2 players who had 12 All-Star selections, those being Rick Barry and George Gervin. But you guessed,
We probably
you
wouldn't
guessed.
have taken a
You
while.
probably wouldn't have guessed those, but they weren't on the list anyways. So it doesn't
I
really
gotta
matter.
say, we did pretty good there. As
You
for
got
naming
that.
everyone with 12, yeah. All right.
You did pretty good naming everyone who had at least 12, but we were looking for 14.
Yeah.
So
All right, let's move on to our last thing. So we'll talk about the NBA this year. So staying current. So we'll look at the Eastern Conference first. So which team outside of the top 6 in the East could you see making a playoff push in these last 30 games, Zach?
oof. I'm looking at these standings, and I mean you have a very vulnerable Sixers roster that could fall outside of this top 6. So you're kind of looking for that team to replace them, and I mean it feels pretty obvious. You look at the standings, who's sitting there at number 7? It's the Miami Heat, and I mean I feel like year after year we doubt the Miami Heat. We think they're not able to do it. We think, oh, that roster is not strong enough, but they make do with what they have. The Heat culture is very much real. I would not be shocked if the Miami Heat finish as a top 6. Top 5, frankly, should be the expectation for this Heat. I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat finish as a top 6 seed when all is said and done this regular season.
Jack, any different thought?
I mean, that is definitely the right pick. But for the sake of fun, I'll give you the other Florida team, the Orlando Magic. I've had a lot of fun watching the Magic this year. They were off to a great start in the beginning of the year, had a brutal month of January, but they're off to a good start in February. I think they've won like 6 of their 8 games in February, I think, something like that. So off to a better start. Paolo Banchero coming off his first All-Star game appearance. You know, he's had a great season. He's a super talented player. I love Franz Wagner. They're just building something nice there. And it's been, it's felt nice to see the Magic actually be a competitive, competent team this year. I think that's been one of the more pleasant surprises in the NBA this year. And I'm here for it. I'm here to see them go on a playoff run. So hopefully I speak it into existence.
Orlando Magic. Orlando
Oh.
Magic. Orlando Magic. Oh.
So I'm not going to even say anything else because outside of the Magic and the Heat, below the top 6 in the East is just a dumpster fire. Like the Hawks aren't doing anything. The Nets fired their coach yesterday. The Raptors are 17 games below 500, and everyone below that's not even worth mentioning. So let's go to the West. So which team outside of the top 6 in the West could you see making a playoff push in the next 30 games? So I'll give you one. I think it's the Dallas Mavericks. And I know that they're right outside by like half a game. They're in the 7th seed right now, but they made a couple big moves at the deadline, PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, and they looked good right before the All-Star break. And I know Luka does not care about trying at all during the All-Star game, but I'm sure he's going to want to try the next half of the season and roll into the playoffs hot. The top of the West is pretty stacked, but the Mavericks should pretty comfortably be in the playoff picture this year. I think as the 7th seed, it would be scary being in the play-in against the Kings, Lakers, or Warriors. If you end up going against LeBron or Steph in the playoffs and they heat up, you might not want that in the play-in when it's only 1 or 2 games instead of a whole series. So that could be scary if they end up as the 7th seed. But I really think the Dallas Mavericks, with their new pieces, the new forward and center depth that they've so desperately needed, they should definitely finish the season, I think, top 5 in the West easily. But they could really go on a winning streak. And maybe if they win 20 to 25 out of their next 30 games, which is a lot, but the Clippers just did that since the Harden trade. So if the Mavericks can really get hot and win out a lot of these games, I could see them making a pretty powerful push to the top. Jack, what do you think?
I mean, I could just be biased and take the Lakers, which I actually don't think would be – I don't think it would be the worst thing that I could possibly say. They did have a really good start to February before the All-Star break, so who knows? But I won't be biased here. I'll pick a different
team. A really good start. They were like 4-6 or something.
No, but before the All-Star break, they won 6 of the last 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were playing a lot better. Come on. Give me my moment here.
Yeah. All right.
But no, I'll take the Warriors. I think the Warriors were playing really good basketball ever since they started actually playing Jonathan Kuminga. And how awesome has he looked since ever since, there was the drama earlier in the year about him yapping about not getting enough minutes, and everyone made fun of him. And then he got that Mickey Mouse looking haircut. And ever since he got that and he started playing basketball, the guy's looked awesome. I mean, he's been outstanding. He's almost been what they wanted Andrew Wiggins to be, and he just hasn't been. But Jonathan Kuminga has been outstanding. I think that if there's anything that's going to make the Warriors into a championship contending team this year, it's continuing to ride with him. And obviously, you have Steph Curry. If he gets hot, that team's going to go on a tear. So I think the Warriors are trending upwards right now. And I could we know what this team is capable of when they're playing at their best. So I think they're a really safe pick here to sort of go on a run.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, by the way, about the Kuminga thing. In his last 20 games, he's averaging 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. And he had eight straight games with over 20 points when they were just rolling. And clearly, he deserves the ball. And I know Draymond said a few days ago that he wouldn't trade Jonathan Kuminga for LeBron James. So, with all that said, Jonathan Kuminga's been playing great. Zach, any other thoughts in the Western Conference?
Yeah, I mean, there's still one more team that I was willing to pick, and no, it was not your Lakers, Jack. So I'm glad that you did not go with my pick for a team that could jump into the top 6. Got to be a beam believer, baby. Light the beam. I'm picking the Sacramento Kings here. I mean, look, while right now they're sitting at 8th, it's not out of the question for some of these teams in the top 6 to be able to fall off of where they're doing right now. I mean, to have a 709 winning percentage of the Timberwolves, I don't know if that's sustainable, but it's absolutely ludicrous how well teams are doing. With their current win percentage, the Sacramento Kings would be just behind where they were last year in terms of winning percentage. Last year, they finished with a 585 winning percentage. This year, they have a 574 winning percentage. Look, that's still a very good team that the Kings have built around De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. I think they can just figure it out, find a groove, find their rhythm, win some basketball games, and get back into the top 6. I don't know if every team ahead of them has a sustainable system going on. I mean, honestly, they were the number 3 seed last year for a reason. I think they're going to be able to pull it together and be the Kings that we saw last year. I have faith in them. I am a beam believer behind this team. So give me the Sacramento Kings. 31-23 is nothing to scoff at. This is just a really powerful season for the West this season.
The only thing is that you just said they could be the Sacramento Kings from last year, which was a first-round exit. It wasn't exactly anything that's. I mean, they still did make the playoffs, but the one thing I worry about the Kings the one thing I worry about the Kings is that they just ran it back exactly what it was last year. There has
That's
been
true.
pretty much zero changes to the entire roster. And while it was good enough to be third in the West last year, it's not good enough to be third in the West this year when a lot of teams have geared up, like OKC and the Clippers and other teams. So I'm just worried that like they'll make the playoffs, but as great as De'Aaron Fox has been, there's been a lot of nights where he just scores like 12 points and is completely not involved in the game. And if that happens multiple times in a series, like they're just not going to do anything. So I love the beam. I'm a beam believer, but like also people say if you do the same thing and expect different outcomes, you're insane.
Yeah, insanity. So, yeah. The definition of insanity. Look, call me insane, but I do think that this team is. I still think that the Kings are built to be a solid contender. Look, the West is extremely powerful. Can they beat all of these Western Conference teams? Absolutely not. But I mean, if this team was in the East right now, I know it's, you can't compare it that way. They'd be a top 6 team in the East right now with their record right now, with their winning percentage. They're the 6th seed right now in the East. Look, it's not much better, but just because they ran it back doesn't mean that they can't succeed. I think there's still upside with the Kings. I'm going to believe in them. I think they're going to be able to overtake a few teams, and I think there's a very legitimate chance they finish as a top 6 seed.
It is true though. Like they were like 2 buckets away from beating the Warriors last year. Like they did take.
No, that's. I mean, they're not. They're a good team. They just. I don't know. They just excite me the least out of the 4 teams that are in the play-in right now. They're the least exciting to me. I just. And it's so weird because they were so exciting last year, but I think what Jesse said is very true. Is that they just completely ran it back. This is the exact same thing that we saw last year. And I think what we saw last year is about the ceiling of what this team can be. When they're playing their best basketball, they're a team that can push a good team to 7 games. Maybe they win that series, but the Kings are making it past the second round. I mean, there's not like that oomph on this team. There's not like that guy that is going to take over in the fourth quarter and win them the game, even though De'Aaron Fox was the clutch player of the year last year. But I don't know. I don't get that excited when I look at the Kings. When I look at the Mavericks, led by Luka, I get excited. When I look at the Lakers, led by LeBron, I get very excited. When I look at the Warriors with Steph Curry, I get excited. I wouldn't put De'Aaron Fox in that class of players that's going to drive his team the next level.
Yeah, and hey, it's a team with 0 all-stars, so it can't be that exciting. That's going to do it for today's show. A little shorter episode today, but we got tons of amazing content coming this week from our adventures at NBA All-Star Weekend. So any closing remarks on any of the state of the NBA? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Defense is dead. Defense is dead.
And like Adam Silver said, well, congratulations.